Hey, what's up, you guys? New video. Hair is not done, but we're not gonna talk about it. Honestly, I might just put my body back on. Hold up. It's giving ratatouille. But anyways, by the title of this video, you guys can see that I'm gonna be doing a labor and delivery story time. I told y'all in my last video, 9 times out of 10, my next video was going to be labor and delivery. And what happened? Let me see. What day did I upload that video? I posted that video August 11th, and my baby was born August 13th. Intuition. Anyways, let's just go ahead and jump straight into the video, y'all. Okay, so damn, I don't even like have the dates or anything like of when stuff started happening, y'all, because I think I was in like what's it called, like preterm labor before like I actually went into labor. So okay, I'm gonna say maybe Thursday, y'all. I started having some like Braxton Hicks, and they were coming so consistent, y'all. Like when I tell y'all I was getting them like nobody's business, oh my gosh, like they were coming so consistently, but they weren't so like painful. Like sometimes they would be a little painful because I was getting them like kind of back to back, but like they weren't really too bad. And I had also went to the doctor, I want to say that same day, but the doctor didn't check me for dilation because I was only 37 weeks and like I think 5 days at that time, and they didn't want to check me until my next appointment, which would have been that following Thursday. Well, the next Thursday. Yeah, well, anyways, yeah, they didn't want to check me until that next Thursday, and so I didn't know if I was dilated or anything, but Braxton Hicks didn't start till later on that night. So yeah, I knew I wasn't dehydrated. Like I kept googling why was I getting them back to back, and it was like, oh, dehydration or stress, but I knew it was neither one of those because I had been drinking plenty of like fluids, y'all, because Texas has been like overdoing it with the freaking heat, and they've been overdoing it with no rain. We haven't had rain in my part of Texas in forever, y'all. So I've been like making sure to keep myself hydrated. I also have not been going out the house. Like I've been in the house for real, and so I don't know. Anyways, so then that following Friday, I was still kind of getting them. Like I remember I woke up with one, and I was still getting them, but I wasn't getting them as frequent as I was Thursday. And so Friday was pretty much a normal day, and then moving on into Saturday. Saturday was pretty normal too. I don't remember like anything really happening. Also, I had went walking. I think it was Friday night I went walking, and I don't even know how many laps. I walked for maybe 45 minutes, close to an hour, and I was having contractions as I was walking. Like those I was able to recognize as contractions. I was having them as I was walking, but they stopped when I got home. So yeah, moving back on into Saturday, couldn't go walking like that day because I woke up too late and it was already way too hot by the time I like got up. And so yeah, Saturday I sat around the house all day. I was supposed to go do my laundry, but I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do it tomorrow, which would have been Sunday. And so yeah, I literally just laid around the house. I didn't feel like doing anything. I felt so lazy, you guys. So yeah, going on into Saturday some more. That night I remember I told my boyfriend I was gonna go take me a bath, and then I told him I was gonna like work out around the room, like I was gonna do some squats and shit. And so I went and took me a bath, y'all. One thing about it, two things for certain, I'm gonna take me a bath. Like I love taking baths. Oh my gosh, especially if I had some Dr. Till's bubble bath, like we're in there for sure. Okay, so yeah, y'all, I took me a bath. I was in the water for maybe like, I don't even know how long. And then I got out and I dried myself, and then I tend to let myself air dry. And so I sat down on the side of the tub, y'all. And you know, I'm sitting up here air drying. I got the towel wrapped around me, and I'm like scrolling through Instagram. I had literally just posted a video, and I'm gonna or was it a picture? I posted something on my close friends. I'm gonna like put it right here when I post it. Y'all, I kid y'all, not even 5 minutes after I posted that, my water broke. Like, I was shocked, y'all. I'm literally sitting there, and I felt something, and so I had touched it, and you know, I had looked because I was having a lot of discharge, and so, you know, I looked, and I'm like, okay, like this ain't discharge. So I got up, and you know, some of it came out, and so I'm like, are you for real right now? So I started calling my boyfriend, and I called my mom too, and I also texted my closest friends first. So Jada, Zakoya, Kyrie, who else? I think that's who I texted like immediately. And Jalen, because I was actively texting him too, if I didn't say it already. So if y'all are watching this, y'all already know that y'all were the first couple of people to know. Everybody else I was texting on the way to the hospital. And I had text Ray. But anyways, so I was calling my boyfriend, and he was like ready to go. When I told him that my water broke, he was already like taking his clips out of his hair and throwing Raylan in the car. And so I'm like, well, like, can we like just wait a minute? Because, you know, I was walking, well, I wasn't walking very far, but like I had came out of my bathroom, came around the corner, and like peeked my head into the kitchen to tell my boyfriend. And then I had walked back to the bathroom to pick up like my underwear, because I told him that I wanted to like be sure for a fact that my water broke. And I was also 38 weeks, y'all. So I told him I wanted to like be sure that it broke. And so I was like, you know, if I suck my underwear, then we can go. But the minute I had put my underwear on, more of it started coming out. So I was like, okay, like we can go. So we went to the hospital or whatever, and I went to a different hospital this time than I did with Raylan, and experience was so much better. But anyways, when we got to the waiting room, there were 1,000 people in the waiting room. Like, oh my gosh, and like Seth was getting so irritated, y'all. He was like, they need to hurry up and blah 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 blah, you know, just doing a fool. And so finally, when we got called, the woman was like, how can I help you? And I was like, my water broke. And she was like, what did she say? She was like, are you in any pain? Like, you know, she was asking me general questions, and I was just like, no, telling her how far along I was, you know, all of that. And so then they got me a wheelchair, and they wheeled me up to I wasn't on the side of labor and delivery yet. I want to say this was kind of like the triage, I guess. I don't know. But they took me up there, and Seth and Raylan couldn't go with me because he had Raylan, and so they had to wait until we had got Raylan's like situated or whatever. And so yeah, while we was waiting on Raylan grandma to come and get her, he was in the other waiting room, and you know, I was in the room. So, well, I was about to be in the room. So I had got up from the wheelchair because they wanted to weigh me or whatever, y'all. I got up. Keep in mind, my water broke. I get up, and they was like, oh, the chair is wet.
Be fucking for real.
Huh? And so I was like, yeah, because my water broke. And so once they got me like all settled in the bed or whatever, I'm just texting everybody, letting them know what's going on. And I'm just sitting on the bed like I'm chilling. So finally the doctor came in. The doctor who delivered Raylan came in, so that made me happy. And you know, he had checked my cervix or whatever, because they was asking me, was I dilated at my last appointment? But I told them I didn't know, because I didn't know. All I knew was that she was head down. And so you know, they checked my cervix, and I was 3, almost 4 centimeters dilated at that time. And so you know, I was already in active labor because my water broke. And so they had went ahead and, you know, got me a room or whatever. And keep in mind, y'all, my water broke at 9:08, I think. And so by this time it's like 10, 11 o'clock, and my mama had got to the hospital or whatever. And so, you know, we was all sitting up there chilling. Like, I was watching Bring It on my iPad. I was talking to Jada at a point in time when they was checking my cervix and stuff. And I was really just chilling. Like, they had asked me, like, kind of what my plan was as far as delivery. And I made it very clear, like, I didn't want the epidural. And, you know, we just talked about stuff like that. In the event that something was to happen, if I needed blood or something like that, would I let them give it to me? Just things like that. And so, yeah. So moving on throughout the night, my mom and my boyfriend were there the entire time. My boyfriend ended up going to sleep in the car because my mom was on like the little like the long couch they had, and he didn't want to like make my mom get up, obviously, and he wanted my mom to be comfortable too. So he just went to the car, and he went to the car around maybe 3 or 4. And I remember I was up because my contractions were starting to like get a little stronger around then, and so it was kind of hard for me to sleep. And I also kept having to pee. Like with Raylan, I don't remember getting up to pee not one time, but with her, y'all, I kept having to pee. Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, they came and told me around like 3 that I was 5 centimeters dilated and my contractions were only 6 minutes apart. And so they told me by 6, if my contractions didn't speed up, that they was gonna put me on Pitocin. And if you are on my TikTok, I said that I would never get Pitocin again, but honestly, this time that I got it, I'm not mad about it. Like, they let me labor naturally as long as they could, and my contractions just weren't speeding up on their own, so I didn't mind getting on Pitocin. And so once they put me on Pitocin at 6, y'all, that's when it got real. When I tell y'all, I was a 5 at like 4, and then 6 they came and put me on Pitocin. I was a 7 when they came and put me on Pitocin, y'all. We started pushing at like 7:30, I think. But we're gonna get into that. So yeah, I'm actively having contractions. I'm sitting up. My mom is on the phone talking. Seth is in the car sleeping. I'm texting him and knowing he's asleep. But anyways, my mom was like, well, do you want me to go and get him? And I was like, you can call him or whatever. We're calling him. His phone is dead. So I'm like, ah, shit. So my mom, she had to go downstairs and get him, and while she was going downstairs to get him, they was like, well, do you want some medicine? And I was like, well, I don't want the epidural because I want to do natural. And they was like, well, you can still do natural and get morphine. And so they ended up giving me morphine. I didn't know what morphine was going to do. I thought it was going to help with the pain. For me, morphine did not help with the pain. The only thing morphine did for me was calm me down. Like it made me high, so I was very relaxed. But I still felt like every contraction that I was getting, which obviously, like, you know, that's what it was supposed to do. But yeah, so they came and put me on morphine, y'all, and mama found my boyfriend, and we was just like all sitting there or whatever. And I was laying on the bed like with my head to the side, and 5 minutes later, I think, I had looked up and I told my mom, I was like, I think I need to push, because I kept having the feeling of needing to push, but every time I felt like I had to, it just ended up being like a fart or something. And so I was trying to let it like roll over to see if it was a fart, but it never did. And so I was like, I think I need to push. And so and also I had went to the restroom like right before they put me on the morphine, and I noticed I was bleeding a little bit, because I did not lose my mucus plug at home or anything this time, y'all. With Raylan, I lost my mucus plug the day before I went into labor, but this time I never lost it until I was like actively in labor. And so they came and they checked me or whatever, and I had on some disposable underwear, and they had gave me like a pad to put on because my water was still like breaking during all of this. Like, I was like leaking so much. It was so embarrassing, and I was uncomfortable, so they gave me something to make myself comfortable with. And so when they had came and checked me and they had like removed the pad from under me or whatever, I was bleeding so much, y'all. Like, oh my gosh. And they didn't even need to check me. Like, they looked and they were like, oh, that's a head right there. And so yeah, you know, they was getting all their stuff together. I was kind of like bummed out because my doctor, he was the doctor I wanted to deliver my baby literally got off the clock at 8, and so I knew he wasn't gonna be able to want to deliver my baby, and so that made me a little sad. And so this other man came in, and you know, they're getting everything ready, and I'm just laying on the bed looking crazy. Seth was holding my hand, and I just had nurses on both sides of me. Like the nurses was trying to pull my leg up to get it on the like footrest thing, and I'm telling her, I'm like, yo, that hurts. Like I can't lift my leg up. It hurts really bad. And so they finally got my legs up because I wasn't even trying no more. I was letting them do everything. And while they were sitting up there like getting everything together, I looked at them and I was like, I think I need to start pushing now. And they were like, oh, okay, like you can start pushing, you can start pushing. And so I'm pushing, and I remember I told them, y'all need to get this baby up out of me. I told them I'm ready to be done. My mama and my boyfriend had said that I said, God, please help me. I don't remember it, but they said that I did. Yeah, I was over it, y'all. I was so freaking over it. And so she finally ended up coming out. They said she came out in 2 pushes. And once she came out, apparently I had tore a little bit, so they needed to stitch me. He told me it was a very minor like tear. I still haven't seen it. Like I've been looking for it, haven't found it yet. But anyways, he told me I tore, and so he had to stitch me up. And honestly, that made me cry more than anything. Like I was, oh my gosh, y'all. Like when she came out, I almost called her Raylan. When Nevaeh came out, they immediately took her over to like the warmer and stuff. And so I didn't even get the chance to see her. Like all I seen was her back. And she was all bloody and dirty, and so I obviously didn't want anything to do with her, which probably makes me sound like a terrible person, but I really don't care. But anyways, yeah, they immediately just came over to me, and you know, they started stitching me up, and I remember I started crying because it was also like uncomfortable. Like I was able to kind of feel it, and so it hurt. Even though they had numbed me down there, it still hurt. And I was crying, and it was like, well, are you crying because you're in pain? I was like, well, it do kind of hurt, but I was like, I'm also crying because I'm overwhelmed. I was like, I just pushed out a baby, and I haven't even seen my baby yet, but I hear y'all talking about my baby, like, you know, saying how much she weighed, and they was telling my mom and my boyfriend, because at this point, I think my boyfriend had walked over there. I don't think he was holding my hand anymore. And so yeah, I could not stop crying, y'all. I was so overwhelmed, and I was just telling them, I was like, it was just a very overwhelming feeling. I'm finna cry just talking about it. I don't know why, but yeah, I was really like overwhelmed. And so once they got done, and I remember the doctor had said something about like, if I would have got the epidural, I probably wouldn't feel it. That had kind of pissed me off. And so I remember after they got done with that, I went to the restroom, and you know, they was helping me with that because I never had stitches before. And so they was helping me with that. And then they was like, I probably don't need to hold the baby right now because I'm drunk, is what they said. And so I remember like I had seen her, and I was like, she's white. And then like I had got up and walked over towards her, and I said something like, she don't look like Raylan. And then I held her for the first time, and then when I held her, I looked at her and I was like, you look like your daddy. And yeah, it was a mess. I remember also as they was stitching me up, like I remember my mom saying something to me, and I looked at her and I was like, you talk a lot. And she was like, I know. And I was just like, somebody get this woman out of my room. No, jokes though. But yeah, mama also was crying because I think I kind of scared her because with Raylan, things were different. Like I don't remember being as much pain, and so I think I also scared my mom because she was crying. Seth was behind the bed, and I didn't even know that. Seth had learned his lesson from the first time, and Seth did not want to see anything. He did not want to get a glimpse of anything. As long as he was next to me, he had my hand, he was good. He didn't want to see anything. And so yeah, that was pretty much all of that. Eventually they ended up moving me to my postpartum room or whatever. And I remember I started crying after I had her. I think I might have been in my postpartum room already. And I started crying because I was like, Raylan's not the only child anymore. And I was super emotional. I was also still on drugs though, so that might have been part of the reason. But I was just so overwhelmed, y'all. Oh my gosh, it was a mess. I was like, my baby is not an only child anymore. And so I don't know. But yeah, then I remember I was crying because I was in like a lot of pain. I don't remember having like the contractions after birth. Like I remember people talking about them, but I never had them with Raylan. But I started having the contractions like after birth with her, and I was in so much pain. I also felt like I couldn't feel my feet. Like I kept telling them, I was like, I don't feel like I can feel my feet. Like my feet are feeling very weird. And it was like, oh, it's just like because of the way you had your feet on the bed or whatever. And I don't know. I thought I was dying low key because I couldn't like my feet. If y'all ever like put a rubber band on like y'all arm and it slowly starts cutting off the circulation, like y'all know what that feels like. That's what both of my feet felt like, and it was scaring me. Um, yeah, my stomach was hurting like super bad. Like y'all, the contractions really felt like I was finna push a whole nother baby out of me. Like I remember I was just sitting up there crying to my boyfriend about it. I I was such a crybaby after I had her. Like I didn't do none of this with Raylan, y'all. It was a freaking mess. But yeah, that was pretty much my labor and delivery story time with Nevaeh. Her and Raylan had a bunch of similarities. Raylan also broke my water at night on a Saturday. Only the difference was I think Raylan's was around 10 or 11 p.m. and Nevaeh's was at 9. They were both born on Sundays, and they were also born almost exactly an hour apart, which is like crazy. They would have been born an hour apart if Nevaeh was born 2 minutes, like 2 minutes earlier. They would have been born exactly an hour apart. They were exactly a pound like different in weight. Um the same amount of like length. Let me see what else. I think that's pretty much everything. Like they had so many similarities at birth. And y'all, when Raylan came and met her, I started to record it, but then Raylan had almost made me cry because I asked Raylan did she want to take a picture with her, and she said no. And I was like, and so I like kind of started crying because I was like, this was one of my biggest fears. Like, even though Raylan had been excited during the end of the pregnancy, I was so scared that she wasn't gonna like her sister. But I think somebody had ended up saying Nevaeh's name, and then it clicked to Raylan that she looked at my stomach, and then she looked over at Nevaeh, and like it clicked to her like this is the person we've been talking about for the past couple of months. And so after that, Raylan has been completely obsessed with her, y'all. And it completely warms my heart. Like that makes my heart feel so complete because I was so nervous because Raylan has been my baby for so long. Like I didn't know how I was gonna go from 1 to 2 kids. I didn't know how Raylan was going to feel having a sibling. I was just so scared. But my baby is so sweet to her sister. She loves her sister so much, y'all. Every time somebody came to see Nevaeh, she was like, "Look, baby," and then she'd be like, "That's my baby sister, Vea." It just it warms my heart completely, y'all, because Raylan is not lonely. Well, she was never lonely, but like Raylan has somebody she can play with now. She absolutely loves her sister. But yeah, y'all, this is my labor and delivery story time. If you're coming from TikTok, please do not comment asking when I'm going to show Nevaeh. There is no time frame on when I'm going to show Nevaeh. As y'all see, y'all barely even see Raylan on my social media anymore. I show them when I want to, but I don't know, social media has been so weird lately. But yeah, you guys, I am gonna share some pictures, but the baby's faces will be covered, but y'all can still like just kind of see how they're bonded together or whatever. But yeah, if y'all like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and we're gonna see you guys in our next video.